Do we have enough board members here?
Yes.
Okay.
I see Connie, Ryan, Joe Shaw, Adam, Kevin, and
Okay,
Joe is John. Sorry, John is Whitney, I'm guessing.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know why that's up there, but I am here.
All right. You're there. Good for you. Okay, we're ready this time for real?
Yes, sir.
All right. I'll call our meeting to order at 5:01 p.m. Amy, can we do the roll call, please?
Yes, sir. Mr. Braun? Mr. Campbell?
Present.
Mrs. Goldsmith?
Present.
Mr. Lewis?
Here.
Mr. Satterthwaite?
Here.
Mr. Shaw?
Here.
And Mr. Lawson?
Here. All right, let's say the pledge if we could. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, Dr. Garrison, would you like to present the FY20 amended budget, please?
Yes. As presented last month, there are no additional changes. Looking at our state revenue yesterday, outstanding to be paid in FY20 from the state of Illinois was $480,890.95. The amended budget is showing a $289,902 deficit of revenue versus expenditures for FY20, but our overall estimated fund balance is still healthy, so a deficit reduction plan is not required at this time. If there are any questions on what I presented last month, I'm more than happy to go deeper into the conversation. But again, no changes have been made on the amended budget since it has been displayed for 30 days.
All right. So are we ready to amended budget?
I am, unless there are questions or conversation.
No questions.
All right. I need a motion to approve the amended budget for FY20.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Mr. Campbell?
Yes.
Mrs. Goldsmith?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. Satterthwaite?
Yes.
Mr. Shaw?
Yes.
Mr. Braun? And Mr. Lawson?
Yes. All right. I'll entertain a motion for the resolution to abate working cash funds and transfer to Fund 10, the Education Fund. The abatement will be made to Fund 10, and then as an equal amount of EBF will be transferred to Fund 50/51.
The amount is $93,600. This was an audit finding with our last year with our funds being intermingled historically over time. Once the fund balance was depleted, it became an audit finding. So this is a way to fix the audit finding without raising the tax levy.
So moved. Second.
Mrs. Goldsmith?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. Satterthwaite?
Yes.
Mr. Shaw?
Yes.
Mr. Braun? And Mr. Campbell?
Yes.
Mr. Lawson?
Yes. All right, Dr. Garrison, would you introduce our employment person.
Yes, so we have 3 employment recommendations this evening. Our first is Miss Dana Bivens for our VES Assistant Principal Special Education Coordinator for the district. Dana, I believe, has joined the meeting tonight. So we are welcoming her to our district and excited for her to start on July 1st. Mrs. Mesnard will be introducing her to the VES staff tomorrow via email, and we'll start the transition. Welcome, Dana.
Thank you.
The other recommendations, Amber Brungard for teacher's aide for the 2021 school year, and Carrie Bates for a full-time special education substitute teacher, Golden Apple Accelerator for the 2021 school year. Golden Apple Accelerator is a new program. It is a pipeline for those that have bachelor's degree that aspire to be teachers. So it's a 1-year program. She is attending Blackburn University, and will be doing a year-long internship with us in special education. But she also has her substitute teaching license, so we can employ her both as she's getting her education license, and she's also qualified as a sub teacher. So it's a win-win for Vandalia School District to welcome Carrie as well.
All right. I'll entertain a motion to employ Dana Bivens as VES Special Ed Coordinator and Assistant Principal. I'll entertain a motion, in that same motion, to employ Amber Brungard as Teacher's Aide and Carrie Bates as Special Ed Golden Apple sub.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second that.
Mr. Lewis,
Yes.
Mr. Satterthwaite, Mr. Shaw,
Yes.
Mr. Braun, Mr. Campbell,
Yes.
Mrs. Goldsmith,
Yes.
and Mr. Lawson.
Yes. Last but not least, I'll entertain a motion for the approval of the para unsatisfactory teacher evaluation rating appeal procedure between the VUTA and the Vandalia Community School District number 203 Board of Education.
This is a state mandate that must be implemented before July 1st. Mrs. Perkins and I met. We agree on the process that was presented to us by IEA. So again, we are checking a compliance box by approving this evening.
So moved. Second.
Second it.
Mr. Satterthwaite,
Yes.
Mr. Shaw,
Yes.
Mr. Braun, Mr. Campbell,
Yes.
Mrs. Goldsmith,
Yes.
Mr. Lewis,
Yes.
and Mr. Lawson.
Yes. Okay, entertain a motion for the adjournment of our meeting this evening.
Do you want me to read public comment, or do you want me to hold them for our
Oh,
next
no,
meeting when
go
we're in
right
person?
ahead. I
Okay.
forgot about that. I'm sorry. Go right ahead, please.
We have 4, I believe, public comments, so bear with me as I read them. The first is from Mark Kelly. As more universities and colleges are going away from standardized testing, ACT, SAT, scores, and focusing more on other elements, including GPA, has the board considered revamping the current GPA system? It would appear the school's current GPA scoring places our students seeking to go to college and applying for scholarships at a disadvantage against other students by having A's recognized as a 4.0. It would be unlikely that each university, college, or scholarship board would inquire of the school scoring, but rather simply look at the numbers. A prime example would be a straight A student in Vandalia would have a GPA of 3.8, while same student elsewhere may have same grades and have a 4.0. Under the current school process, no students are recognized valedictorian or salutatorians, but merely group and summa cum laude and magna cum laude groups based on GPA, which would continue if any changes are made. If there are other reasons for the current system, I think it would be beneficial that the board lets the community know. Thank you for your consideration of this issue as a concerned parent. The next public comment is from Catherine Dothager. I think if kids have to socially distance and wear masks, it would be easier to continue the e-learning and keep everyone safe. Start back in-person learning in January. The next one is from Sonia Worley. It is lengthy. I will read as presented. I am writing to express my family's opposition to requiring social distancing, masks, cloth face covering, temperature checks, and numerous other measures as a response to COVID-19 in Illinois schools. These procedures are socially, emotionally, psychologically, and physically damaging to our children. Moreover, there is no solid science to support their implementation. First, current data shows that children are not at risk for COVID, and she cites sources throughout this. And the World Health Organization states that asymptomatic transmission is extremely rare. Additionally, recent data shows that fatality rates from COVID are akin to a bad seasonal flu. Original predictions were grossly inaccurate. Throughout this crisis, many daycares have remained open and some countries never shut down schools, affirming that schools are not negatively impacting health outcomes. Second, requiring masks or cloth face coverings and social distancing impedes schools in educating while causing psychological harm to students. Masks create a physical distraction to students and act as a barrier for teachers to effectively communicate. Masks and social distancing will psychologically impact students, particularly younger students and those with special needs. These measures reinforce an unhealthy concept of isolation as well as fear of others, the world, and germs. Without the ability to physically interact or see the faces of adults and their peers, the special needs programs in our schools, including speech and occupational therapy, will be unable to function. Furthermore, the New England Journal of Medicine's May 21, 2020 perspective states, we know that wearing a mask outside healthcare facilities offers little, if any, protection from isolation or from infection. Third, re-outfitting schools so they can adhere to CDC guidelines will cause financial burdens to both schools and families at a time when both are already hurting from the economic shutdown. These measures will cause families who are unwilling to expose their children to these forms of social isolation to homeschool, potentially causing a job loss for a parent. Furthermore, the proposed hybrid model of schooling, particularly at home, is not feasible for parents who need to return to work. This will lead to a financial situation from which schools may never recover while placing financial strains on families from a loss of income. Clearly, current data does not merit the dramatic response being proposed for schools. In the Illinois Department of Public Health, the Office of the Governor have not confirmed and have not been able to produce any findings from the CDC to support the theory that A, healthy people wearing cloth face coverings prevent the spread of illness, B, forced separation slows transmission, and C, asymptomatic transmission is occurring. In other words, there is no evidence that the CDC and the Illinois Department of Public Health guidelines are based upon science or medical evidence. Thus, the CDC and the Illinois Department of Public Health guidelines considerations on which the governor and the Illinois State Board of Education are basing their guidance are founded on inconclusive assumptions with no reputable peer review studies to support them. To date, Fayette County has tested well over 1,000 residents for COVID-19. Of those tested, only 23 have tested positive, and none of these have been children. Statistically speaking, the children in our county are not posing a threat to themselves or the general public as a whole. It is my sincere hope that not only Fayette County, but all Illinois children will return to school for face-to-face instruction with no hybrid models, no masks or cloth face coverings with no social distancing. Illinois schools can increase cleaning, disinfectant, ventilation protocols, and encourage hand washing to accommodate the small number of parents who have concerns about returning. There is simply no justification for mandating an unhealthy new norm for all. I encourage you to please take a few minutes to watch this important message from Peggy Hall, an educator of more than 30 years. Although Mrs. Hall is based in California, she offers advice and facts that apply to all states, and the URL is listed. Thank you in advance for your consideration and for protecting our children by not mandating costly and drastic measures that hurt children and impede learning. Rachel Wyrock submitted a comment. As a parent with a child that struggles to read and another child with autism, I'm asking you to find the best way to maximize their time in school. My children miss out on the extra services the school provides when they are home. They need these services so they don't continue to fall behind or lose skills. Next month, we should be able to return to in-person using social distancing in our cafeteria. So this is, hopefully, I'm saying hopefully, our last Zoom virtual meeting, and we'll resume in-person meetings with the 50 person limit. So public comment going forward will be the way before March of coming in person and speaking to the board directly. One last item, this is random, but I should have probably talked about it with the budget. I'm looking at our lunch prices. This is something that annually the auditors asked us to report to you in June before we present the lunch prices. And the reason being is so that you as the board can ensure that we are not price gouging as a district and making money on our lunch program. So Colleen has presented the following information. Our weighted average price for lunches, for paid lunches, was $2.79. Monthly revenue was about $20,000. The state says that we should be charging $3.02. So you can see when we run our numbers that we're actually not collecting enough revenue on our paid lunches. And our expenditures are over $700,000 with our lunch program, breakfast and lunch program, pre-K through 12th grade. Total price increase recommendation is 21 cents. Required price increase is $2.89 with the remaining of 11 cents. Again, presenting that information so you have more information as you look at lunch prices coming up in July.
Okay. I would like to add that I appreciate public comment. We always welcome it. And if you're going to submit an online form, which we hope we're done with these, but if you do, please put your name on there. That is the way we, not that we track you, but we need a name to read it publicly. Okay, Dr. Garrison, are we ready to adjourn? Or you have some more things for us to think about?
No, I mean, you have seen that today, the State Board of Education with the Illinois Department of Public Health released a phase 4 guidelines. Yes, it is true that I was on the team, Nurse Lewis and Julie Wallerman. While many would think that we have read the 60 pages, our work was done weeks ago. So my homework is now to read and see what actual changes have been made since the committee was formed. The specific IDPH requirements, I can read the list. And again, we're looking for the word requirements versus recommendations. These are the requirements. Just remind everybody that I just read that we received $9.8 million in state and federal revenue, and therefore said requirements are what we will be discussing as we look at our reopening plans. Those requirements are to require use of PPE, including face coverings, prohibit more than 50 individuals from gathering in one space, require social distancing whenever possible, conduct symptom screenings and temperature checks or self-certification that individuals entering school buildings are symptom-free, and increase school-wide cleaning and disinfection. Just want to let everybody know that we will be reconvening our transition team. As the next few days we're going to spend really individually reading and studying it. We'll come back together early next week and be involving the board in those conversations as well. We want to be intentional and really take our time and do this right as we look towards opening our schools in August. If others have any comments, feel free to add. If not, that's all I have for this evening.
Any other comments, board members?
Thank you for 2 meetings, 2 weeks in a row.
All right. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye, please.
Aye.
Aye.
All right, we are adjourned. Thank you all for participating.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.